Join us, and you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you very much for inviting me to be a part of this committee, even though I'm not an actual member. I'm grateful for your invitation, and thank you, Ranking Member Chu, for your hospitality today. And I also want to thank you for accommodating my my schedule in Judiciary. We had a markup, so thank you very much for letting me wear my track shoes today and run in this very easily navigated Rayburn building, as we all know. I've been a business owner, a small business owner, and an attorney for more than 2 decades, and part of those 2 decades as general counsel for a small business. So I'm very familiar with these issues. I've seen firsthand how complicated and confusing and burdensome the state income tax system is for businesses, especially those with employees working for temporary periods in multiple states. This compliance burden is even higher for small businesses because they don't have large legal or payroll departments to help them keep track of the 40 different state income tax rules. Small businesses and their workers should not be punished with the complex tax reporting standards simply because our modern economy means more work travel across state lines. Such policies are detrimental to businesses and themselves, or to businesses themselves, but also to the economy. Instead of adding jobs or reinvesting, small business owners are forced to spend time and their resources on complying with convoluted state income tax laws. I can tell you firsthand as a general counsel, we spent most of our time on compliance, looking over our shoulder to see which regulator was going to come at us next and for what reason. And if you had 3 regulators call in one day, they would all disagree with each other or give their different opinions on any particular rule. One particular story from an employer that we had in Judiciary really stands out in my mind. Last year, a gentleman came to the subcommittee in Judiciary. We heard he was an employer. He had filed 10,500 W-2s on behalf of their employees, primarily because they have crossed state lines during the course of business. He explained a case where one worker had to file 50 W-2s. Now, just imagine a small business having to file 50 W-2s. We shouldn't be placing that burden on our small businesses. It really is absurd. The bill that Mr. Johnson and I introduced, H.R. 2315, the Mobile Workforce State Income Tax Simplification Act of 2015, quite a mouthful, is carefully crafted legislation that creates a simple and easy to administer system for the imposition of a non-resident state income tax law by creating a uniform 30-day rule to determine non-resident income tax liability. The bill ensures employees will have a clear understanding of when they are liable for non-resident state income tax, and small business employers will be able to better withhold these taxes. It will save time and resources, allowing businesses to put their hard-earned resources toward things that drive our economy forward, such as jobs and investment. That really is the underlying goal of the bill. I want to thank everybody in this room because I know you all stand for small business and you're doing everything you can to make this a better environment. I think this is a good bill. And I would just throw out there, if I could, Mr. Lewis, for your thoughts about how this will impact small business. The bigger businesses have an opportunity to absorb this, may have a better, easier way of dealing with it. Small business does not. Can you quantify that for us and tell us the impact it's having?
Sure. Thank you, Representative Bishop, and thank you for your leadership on this important piece of legislation and your co-sponsorship. Also, Chairman as well for co-sponsoring as well. I think to understand this legislation, you have to understand 2 parts. The first is there's a part that the employer has to deal with, and then there's the employee. Let's deal with the employer first. The employer has to, just as you said, they have to go through, they have to be educated about all of the various state laws and the varying, as I said in my opening testimony, there's varying rules. And the rules change. So that constant educational process is taking these business owners and these administrative people away from the function of running their business. How hard is it? It's just as you said, the smaller the business, the more they have to spread, they have the least amount of ability to spread those costs. It's incredibly burdensome. And you know, to the chairman's question, what's the most important thing you do? Just cut the administrative burden. I think that's key. But let's don't forget that there's an employee aspect as well. Even after this employer has filed 50 W-2s on behalf of one employee, that employee then has to turn around and file potentially in all those various jurisdictions. Keep that in mind. So it's not just burdening the small business, but it's those the employees as well. So it's incredibly burdensome, and I think it's come time to where let's just, as Mr. Schwartz said, let's look for a cost benefit. Let's look at these types of things with a cost benefit lens. Is the benefit really that great that we should burden these individual employees and these small businesses? I would suggest not, and that's why I think this legislation is a good piece.
Thank you.